Alrighty, welcome to Making Terrible Shit with Jeremy, where today we're gonna try assembling. Oh Jesus fuck, I see why Dave is always bitching about this fucking terrible. This little guy. So that's your little doodad over there. And there's the backside. Wow, yeah, that's pretty fucky. Alrighty, so you should have got a little component pack with a good bunch of stuff in here. So we got some jumpers, or headers, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Those are going to plug into the board. That's actually what's going to mate the gear go with your trackball unit. You should have a row or two of these little guys here. Those are going to be what? Well, you got a fucking pole, you got a hole. Take a guess what's happening there. You also got 5 of these guys, which are just 10K pull-up resistors. You'll need those. 4 of these guys, which are little LEDs. We're going to talk about those guys in a minute. 1 220 ohm resistor. 4 SOT23 Hall effect sensors. What else? A little SMD shit show button. And don't forget your board. So we're just going to go over the board here real quick style, just so you can get an idea of just what the hell's going on here. Now I have my, whatchamacallit, phone in a third hand right now, so if it falls over, sorry about that. Alrighty, so those little SOT23 packages are going to go on these 4 corners right here. That's actually what's going to detect the little rolly Jim Jam. If I could find my fucking rolly Jim Jams, we'll worry about those later. Because that'll just sit right on top of there. The 4 things here, 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 and here are for LEDs. We're going to talk about those in a minute. And I can take it, you can figure out what the big square there is for. Backside, you've these pads here, and these 3. Those are what our pin headers are going to get slammed on. But the rest of everything on the back here is your 10K resistors. And then lastly, there's earwax on that. That's fucking disgusting. I've got to love sitting at the bench all day. And 1 220 ohm resistor. Now, I outlined this in the guide. You can do the LEDs. You can. But if you choose to omit them, you're going to have a lot better of a time. Mostly because when the ball sits on there, these little guys will get in the way a little bit. So you actually have to cut down the ball to fix stability. It's workable, but be careful. Because if you get epoxy in those rollers, that ball's never going to roll again. Alrighty, so I'm actually going to... So let's start by installing our wonderful little resistory doodads. And I'm not going to edit this, I'm literally just going to slap it up on YouTube or Pornhub or some shit, I don't fucking know. And we'll go from there. Alrighty, so step 1 is get these little guys out. Now if you've, from working on Gargo, you probably know that tweezers are an essential tool of every person's handy kit. Other things you might need include flux, a nice, very thin, if I can figure out where it is, solder, some I fucked up and need to fix shit, and don't forget your iron. Now a nice temperature controlled thing is a good time. You can get some El Cheapo ones on DigiKey for 15. I'm using a thing that's made out of pure Chinesium. It's not good. I get that cruft off my iron. Alrighty. So if you're watching this first, you dinked up, go build your Gargo before you even decide to do this. But as with everything else, you just tin a pad. We're actually not going to do the LEDs on this one. All you would do then is install a 220 ohm resistor here, bridge this. This is actually, so if you have all the hardware installed and you don't want the LEDs, you can just wick that off. But we're not going to install those today. I'll still tell you how to do them though. Alright, so we tin up our pads. So you got those nice and tinned. MDF pro tip, if you do them all, if you tin all your pads in one go, you're going to have a lot better of a time. And then just simply reflow. Never work on a fucking glass surface because that's a bad goddamn time. Did my iron just turn off? I swear to fuck. Oh, she's still going. Just a little cool. And you really want to make sure that gets on there. Because once those legs are on, pretty much everything is going to be set in stone. It's going to be really hard to rework it after the fact. Oh man, glass was not a good choice for this. We're going to do this on paper. And I'm not listening to music right now, so you can actually hear me blather. This isn't fucking rocket appliances, boys, but it's pretty close. There's also a 10K resistor on this side here. It's labeled in the world's tiniest font. So we'll just go ahead and tin that on up. Where did I put that little 10K resistor? Welcome to SMD, where you can lose parts just by breathing on them. It's not fun. 10K, where'd you go? If you see the 10K resistor, can somebody let me know? Thanks. On the bottom? No, stuck to my hand. I'll just grab another one. So, if that doesn't go to show you, keep all your parts in a little bowl or something so you don't, you know, breathe them on away. That being said, I got another trackball unit here, so I'll just whack them out of there. Will they come out? Yeah, they did. There we go. And try not to poke yourself in the eye with a hot iron. I hear that's a bad time. There we go. Alrighty. Oh, fuck off. Come on, flip the right way. Damn it. Here we go. Fucking Alzheimer's. Parkinson's? That's the shit you get where you shake, right? Like not Terry Fox. That was cancer. Michael J. Fox, that's the guy. Back to the Future. Alrighty. Oh, and there goes the camera. Whoop. Will you not fall over? That would be fantastic. Cool. Don't fall over. Thanks. No, no falling. Alright, so weight this down with something. Hey, keyboard. I got a bajillion of you hanging around right now. Fuck. Alrighty. Since we're not doing the LEDs, we're not going to bridge this guy. We're not going to install that 220. Otherwise, you would do that now. Alrighty, SOT 23s. Let's whack those in there. So these little guys, if you've never dinked around with them, are called Hall effect sensors. They detect changes in electromagnetic fields or some shit like that. Maybe just magnetic fields. Which, you know... Oh, hey, what's going on? God damn it, Thomas. Anyway, these guys drive themselves high in the presence of a field, and they drive themselves low in the absence. There's I can't remember the fucking name of it, some sort of a magical thing in there that makes them keep their position, so you don't gotta worry about debouncing or anything like that. That's kind of half the reason I like them, because let's face it, debouncing code is not fun. Fuck anyone who says otherwise. So just like with any other tiny little SMD component, when we're not stenciling it in there, tin your pads. I'm going to go with this middle guy because he's easiest to get to. Come on. There we go. And once again, tweezies. One of these days, I'll go and get myself a decent fucking pair of tweezers, but today is not that day. So, fuck, come on. Is that the right way? No, that's not. Move you back a bit. This is actually the reason I really like using stencils. Less finagling like this. And I'm usually working on a bigger board, so it's a little easier. Fuck off, mate. There we go. A good way to make sure your component is level is after the solder has reflowed, just let go of it with your tweezers. Gravity should take care of the rest. Or you can hold it down too, that works. The important thing when you're lining this guy up is to make sure that those little pads over there are actually where they need to be. I keep going between the board and what I can actually see on my phone, so sorry if I'm like dinking around in a single corner or something screwy like that. Just a little bit forward. There we go. So all we're doing is tacking them in, just to get their alignment right so we can go back and properly solder them. Now the rings on these, on the magnets and the trackball, actually do about 9, there's 9 state changes in there between the ring being activated and not, per 360-degree revolution of the ball. It's not much, it's really not. I've found these things actually work a lot better for just scrolling, but your mileage may vary. Being said, I don't write mouse code, I kind of suck at it. So, hey, if you manage to whack one of these together and you notice it's kind of janky and you manage to, you know, fix it up, for the love of fuck, please submit a PR. That'd be great. Alrighty, now if you were installing the LEDs, you would have started with the button, then you would have done the LEDs, I'll tell you how to do those in a second here, and then the Hall effects on the outside, so you'd work inside to out. That being said, because we're omitting the LEDs, we have a few millimeters, a ton of space really, to get to those 4 pads there. But first order of business is make sure these are aligned, tacked, and actually solder them in. So let's do that now. Also, tape down your fucking shit, because holy Christ, this is annoying. There we go. Beauty. Alright, here's my bit of wire. Now these guys can be a bit of a sticky wicket because the pads aren't that big, it's hard to get in there. You really need to make sure that contact is being made between the pad and the leg. And for that you will use either a continuity meter, Good luck getting your little probies in there. Or alternatively, you can... Oh yeah, get in there, you fucking piece of shit. Oh, that's nice. Use one of these little guys, or any other sort of magnification lens. Hey, wow, that's actually not too bad. That's some fucking thinking there, Ricky. Look at that. Dirty. This one has a nice little funny LED on it for inspection, and that's half the reason I like it. But use your eyes, people. Use your eyes. Failing that, use your tools. Might be a good idea to tape your board down. Not sure if I've said that a few hundred times already. There we go. Come on. Come on. Just gotta be careful, because if you heat the component up too much, it'll actually refill the solder on the other side too. So there's, you know, there's that. You don't want that. That's bad. Don't do that. See, like I just fucking did right there. Kind of an idiot, I'm not gonna lie. Push that up. There we go. Oh, that's fucking beauty. I think that's all 4 of them, so I'm just going to take a second here and give them a little look-see. You know what? Maybe I'll let you guys join in on the fun. Let's take a look at my shoddy work. Alrighty, so we've got the Ghetto Microscope version 1. Go in here. Let's see if it doesn't turn this sideways. So those guys, or that guy there, that's actually good. You want them to look like that. That's exactly as it should be. That's not the worst. What about you? Oh no, I think it's falling. Yeah, it's looking good. How do you do? So, let's talk about the LEDs here. There's those 4 spots there. Now, one of those is the anode, one of them is the cathode. You'll notice on your LEDs there's going to be a green bit. That green bit goes in the hole. Remember that, green in the hole. And you should be fine. But our connections are looking okay. We'll go over testing at the end here, but let's whack button in. Oh yeah, it's just 20 minutes already. SMD can be fiddly. It really can. Especially with like irons. But if you manage to actually build this from a kit, holy cripes, you're doing good. Alrighty, same as any other. You tack in a corner, slide it in, fix it up. So, I got off of lighting. I should probably get this down a little lower. No, not really. I'm pretty much used to operating in the dark. It's just how I do. So this guy, I believe, goes in vertical compared to those pads, so you can just land it right on there. Flatten you down, flow. Nudge it around with your tweezies a little bit. Come on. There we go. Got it tacked on in. Finish up the 4 joints. If you got some flux, it's never a bad idea to bust out the flux if you're having issues. Flux is pretty much Jesus. It's one thing I'm learning very quickly with this kind of stuff. Another thing to keep in mind if you're using a higher wattage iron, if you linger too long, especially on some components, like this button, you might actually melt it. That's not good. Know your equipment. Come on. Fiddly piece of crap. can usually combat that by just, you know, backing off for a second, letting everything cool down. Usually gets the job done. Beware for bridges. The only bridges you want in your life are Jeff Bridges, aka the Big Lebowski. Only fucking dude you need. You don't need any other fucking bridges in your life. If you see a bridge, eliminate them. Because you don't want to deal with that shit. And if I sound like I'm fucking high as shit, it's because A, long day at work, and B, I am. So, yeah, you got that going. Alrighty, but that's looking pretty darn okay. Got her whacked on in there. Check your connections on the backside before you move on to the next step, because once those guys are in there, you're going to have issues. So let's take a quick inspection. Alrighty, where's my ghetto microscope? Right on, ghetto. If I could get you to focus, you fuck. That's actually not too bad. Alrighty, so looking at this, it looks pretty good except for that one connection I missed there. So we'll just whack that in there. Here's a closer look at what we've done on the other side. You see what I was saying about those LEDs? Like, once you jam them in there, there's really not a lot of space for much. So, keep that in mind. Alrighty, these guys. So, you've got these little pinner headers. And they got these stagger little feet. So, orientation does actually matter here. So, I think you can figure out what we're going to be doing with those extra pads. What do you want, Cat? So, give them a little twisty-do with a pair of pliers. Just to snap off what you need. Check the orientation. So you're not, you know, fucking her up. There we go. Now, just like with the other guys, we're going to tin of pads, slide it in. But we're not going to worry too much about alignment, because I'm going to show you how to do that properly. So we'll tin you. Buttes. I apparently already tinned you for some reason. There's that guy I forgot. There you go. And we will tin you. Come on. There we go. Okay, so we're going to start with this little 3-stack down here, which I apparently tinned twice because I'm stupid like that. So get your wonderful handy dandy tweezies out. Orientate her right. Just whack her in there. I can't do this on this bag anymore, boys. It keeps flip-flopping around. Useless. I'm just losing more components. Holy shit. I'm gonna step on that later and just damn well know it. Alrighty. So this guy, we can flip him up. He needs a rotato. There we go. Beauty. So, just like everything else, we're just going to reflow the pad. Try not to fuck it up more. Come on. See, normally I just whack this in my third hand, but the problem is my phone's being held by my third hand. So I need some, like, tape. You know what? Double-sided stick tape. Fuck it. There we go. That ain't going nowhere. Okay. As I've been trying to say, reflow the pad. Get her situated just a little bit. Give her a second to cool. Get out of there. And repeat the same thing with the other sets. Figure out what you need. Snap it off. What the shit? Now, if you can't tell, this board is ridiculously cramped, so it's fiddly. But such is the nature of jamming things in a 1U. Okay. And the last two, which are these two. Ow. Alright, so we got all three of those guys tacked in. Now all you want to do is go to where you tacked it in, and without touching the bottom of this pin, just reflow it. So you just want to touch the solder just on a corner, just enough, so it melts. Gravity takes care of the rest, and the entire assembly falls on itself. Aligning the pins. Don't worry about getting it perfect, because once you get it to the board, as you'll see, you have a decent amount of play. What you want to make sure you do is, after you got those, make sure you finish up the other bits. Be careful though, because this guy here, I think it's this guy, yeah, this guy right over here, actually has a resistor running directly underneath him. So you got 2.1 inch headers, and you've got a component running between the feet of them. So if you bridge that, you'll have a bad time. You don't really got to worry about shorts or anything, because the moment you draw more than 500 milliamp from the bus, it'll go ahead and trip a fuse on you. Also make sure you get the little guy in the middle there. He's kind of finagling. I'm going to apologize about the light here. It's pretty bad. The important thing is that you kind of have an idea of what's going on here. I feel like somebody will make a much better build guide than me, because this is not my jam. And MDF, sorry about this shit taking so long, bud. There we go. Alrighty. Give her a good ye old optical inspeculation there. And I think we're actually looking pretty darn good here. Yeah. Okay. Doesn't really help you guys out there. But if you look at the feet, you can see they're nice and well soldered in. Focus, you fuck. Let's go. Piece of goddamn horse shit. These are a little bit off, but that's nothing we can't work around. That's not a big deal. Alrighty, so let me find a Gergo here that we're going to be using. Oh, if I was a Gergo, where would I be? I've got half assembled ones, fully assembled ones. Fuck. Is this you? I think this is you. Got a bit of a scratch on you? Yeah. Okay, cool. Now for the fun part. Slotting this thing into a Gergo. So, don't ask about the stripe, long story, I gotta update the build guide. So if you take a look at this guy over here, this is a very special port on the board. You'll notice it only mounts MX switches, so if you want to put anything else in there, you're gonna have to get creative with some good old-fashioned bodge wires. I've done it with chocks. It's not the worst, it works. But these guys are what actually connect directly to the micro controller, which kind of looks sexy once you bake it in there using a hot air or reflow oven. I like it. Alrighty, so take these little guys here, and you're just gonna snap them up. So you need 3 headers, you need 2 headers, and you need another 2 headers. So we're just gonna go ahead and clippy dippy those up. There we go. Now you're going to get some kind of crufties. Just use your handy dandy little flush cutters, which you should have, and if you don't, go out buy yourself a pair of these things. They are amazing for everything. You want to keep a good pair and a shit pair. This is my shit pair for crap like this. Also works for cutting your nails. Anyway, so trim them up a little bit just to get rid of the empty bits, anything that's kind of dinked. We're not going to worry about that too hard. So, when it comes to installing these things in your actual board, just like any other kind of headers, you're just going to go ahead and whack them in there. See what I was saying about trimming them up nice? Yeah, if you don't trim them up nice, they ain't going to fit well. Fun fact, the GBallin, or GBallin, whatever you want to call her, PCB is only 1 centimeter by 1.2 centimeters, and on there you have, what, 1, 2, 3, 15 something components. It's a little ridiculous, to be honest. So make sure you trim up those edges, and you just want to be able to slot that right in there. You'll notice how I haven't soldered anything in. There's a reason for that. So now, find your handy dandy mouse, and you are going to very carefully line everything up. Now, something important to remember here: for the love of fuck, do not force it, because you are connected to a bunch of solder pads on the bottom. Those get ripped off. Game over. Start from scratch. Order another one and give her shit. You don't want to do it. Trust me. Been there too many friggin' times. Alrighty. I was just gonna try shoving it on the pins first. Be patient. Take your time. It's a virtual after all. It's gonna take you fucking forever to get this in here. Now you see, remember what I just said about not forcing it? Should have listened to my own advice. Because I didn't solder that in nice. And if you've ever wondered what something hanging on by a copper trace looks like, that's it right there. So we're just gonna pop that off, and so this one won't work, but it'll still serve purposes. So you get them on there, or you pop them in there. You want to fit them into these holes. So after it sits in there, that's about actually how high it needs to be for an MX cap. For a standard cap at XDA profile. That actually comes just about even with everything. If I can unplug my board, here's mine. It's in there, and if I rotate it sideways, you can see it's a little bit off, but I'm okay with that. Now this is adjustable, because what you can do with these guys is instead use standard pin headers. Or, sorry, you can actually just take these guys right off. Mount this directly in the board. If I can get it fucking in there. Holy fucking shit. You ever wonder why you don't roll your own connectors? This is why. Because it's not good for anybody. For me, for you, for anybody. Anyway, what I was trying to demonstrate there was, if you want to use something lower like chocks, what I've done here is you can just slot this directly into there. Of course, if you want to remove it, modify anything, you have to desolder it, but that is what she is. Otherwise, you're simply going to put these guys in there, tack them, well, whatever slightly off angle they need to be at, solder them in, you're golden. I like to modify rules.mk, but it shouldn't be too bad. Alrighty, last bit. So you've got your LEDs on here, you've got your mag sensors, you got everything. You know, considering I fucked this up. So now what you're gonna do, you're gonna grab your handy dandy trackball. So now you take your handy dandy little trackball here. This one's a little white one. There's 4 rollers on this. They each have an orientation. That corresponds to these 4 guys here. So you'll notice you got 2 little struts on the top and bottom here. And there's 2 teeny tiny little holes on your board. So you're just going to match those up. And this is when this is where you would get a plugged in enabled GBaller in your makefile. Or ballin, yes, it's in the README. Read it. And then you should be able to just open HID_listen and get debug information. Failing that, you can always just, noodle around and go from there. If, say, you plug this in and the cursor starts fucking off to the left, well, you want to look at the left roller. So, if we rotate this to the guy left, it's going to rotate this bottom roller here. So if you just plug it in and she's winging off left, you need to check this guy down here. Now, we haven't epoxied anything yet, so you're just going to plug it in, give it a test, see if it works, make sure your LEDs light up, you haven't installed them backwards, all that good stuff. The moment, if you just leave it and it just sits there and it's not moving around, then you're good. So remember, these are sensitive though, so like even the slightest bit of movement will trigger it. So what you need to do now is get yourself some of this good shit right here. Epoxy. And if you've used this before, you know pretty much what you're going to do. And if you haven't, show you. Piece of paper. Take your epoxy stick. Try not to get on your hands. Wear some gloves. Shit's fucking annoying. Oh, oof. Gloopy. You get yourself some epoxy. Now, if you've worked with epoxy before, you'll know that you got 2 bits there. Any idea what we need to do with the 2 bits? If you guessed, mix them up. You guessed right. So, just mix them up. Probably something a little sturdier than a fucking piece of solder. But, c'est la vie. Anyhow. So, that's way more than we need, but So now all you're going to do, I'm actually going to install it on this one, but you're just going to take it, and you're just going to go for a little dab on the edges there. You want to use as little as you can get away with. You just want to pop it on there. It's not going to affect the button, really. It's not going to affect Hall effect sensors. But what it is going to affect is when you go and jam this on there, if you get epoxy in that roller, it ain't going to roll. And the last 40 minutes or plus that you've spent fucking assembling this thing will have been for nougat, and you're just going to want to go kill yourself. So don't do that. Make sure the rollers are clear, because If they're not, you're going to have a bad time. So yeah, you swack that on there. I'm not going to ruin a good trackball on this one. Slot her into your keyboard and give her 30 to 45 to dry. Which then brings us to the fun part. So at this point, you've tested your baller, it's working. You've fixed up any missed solder connections. And now all you got left is a keycap. Find a sacrificial 1U keycap. If you bought already, you're probably not watching this guide. And all you're going to want to do is make a mark for the center. Just something so you know where it is. Doesn't really matter. And get yourself your handy dandy Dremels. And yeah, you're pretty much just going to drill a hole in there. You're going to drill a hole in there using either a Dremel, a drill press, whatever the fuck. Get creative. It's not that hard. And you will take out the stem with it. So you're going to drill entirely through the cap. And that will leave you, so this one's mine, with something that looks like that. It's kind of ghetto, but it works for me. Wax and double-sided sticky tape in there just to kind of hold her around. And then all you'll do is slide her on in. The tape is actually a really good adhesive. It's not the adhesive properties, it's really the fact that it's foam. The foam is what allows you to actually just jigger everything around. Move all this crap out of the way. Don't need that anymore, it's garbage, garbage. Yeah. So, when you assemble it properly, your footprint's going to look like that. Your little Jim Jam's going to look like that. And you're probably really wishing you just spent the extra 20 bucks on assembly by this point. And then you just whack it on in there. There you go. Alright, it's been 40 minutes of me rambling and fucking failing, but glad I could help.